Okay, live stream is rolling. At this time, will all sergeants please start their recordings?
Computer recording started.
Thank you. Recording to cloud is underway. And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's subcommittee on zoning and franchises. For verification purposes, we ask you to please turn on your cameras. And also, please silence your cell phones to minimize disruptions. If you'd like to submit testimony, please do so to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. Thank you for your cooperation. Chair Riley, we are ready to begin.
Good morning and welcome to a meeting of the Subcommittee of Zoning and Franchises. I am Councilmember Kevin Riley, Chair of the Subcommittee. Today, I'm joined remotely by Councilmembers Showman, Bottcher, Abreu, Carr, Hanks, Barron, Moya, and Chair Lewis. Today, we will vote on the rezoning proposal for 749 Van Sinderen Avenue in Brooklyn that was heard by the subcommittee on January 21st. 4 proposals that were heard by the subcommittee on January 27th, the rezoning proposal for 2892 Nostrand Avenue and 2134 Cole Street in Brooklyn, and the proposed commercial overlay for 99-07 Astoria Boulevard in Queens, and the citywide open restaurants rezoning text amendment that was heard by the subcommittee jointly with the Committee of Consumer and Workers Protection on February 8th. Before we begin, I recognize the subcommittee council to review the meeting procedures.
Thank you, Chair Riley. I am Angelina Martinez Rubio, counsel to the subcommittee. Council members who would like to ask questions or make remarks should use the Zoom raise hand function. The raise hand button should appear at the bottom of the participant panel. I will announce council members who have questions or remarks in the order that they raise their hands. Chair Riley would then recognize members to speak. We ask that you please be patient if any technical difficulties arise today. Chair Riley will now continue with today's agenda items.
Thank you, Council. Today, we will vote to approve the modification, pre-considered LUs 3 and 4 related to the property at 749 Van Sinderen Avenue in Councilmember Barron's district in Brooklyn. The proposal seeks a zoning map amendment to change an M1-1 to a C4-4L zoning district and a related zoning text amendment to a map at an MIH area to facilitate a new affordable housing development. Our modification would be strike MIH option 2 and add the deep affordability option. Councilmember Barron is in support of this proposal, and I would like to allow him to give some remarks about this project. Councilmember Barron.
Well, thank you very much, Chair Riley, and we are in very much support of this project. We've been going back and forth with developers over some time now, and we are satisfied with the fact that it'll be 118 apartments and all of them 60% and below in terms of the AMI. And for the real affordable, we have also a set aside for the homeless. We were concerned about too many studios, and that number is down. We were concerned of high rent on the end of the project, end side of the project. That was brought down. We were concerned about some of the businesses that would have to be relocated because of the new development coming in. And we recently had a meeting with the auto shop owners, all of the business owners, and the developers, and they have a written commitment and addressing all the concerns of the new businesses being relocated to areas and giving them time to do that, a year or two, rather than rushing into it, and making sure that the rents aren't higher than what they've been paying and the space is adequate for what they have, and they'll be able to maintain some level of connections to the businesses or the customers that they have now. So we're satisfied in all the areas, and they've been very open to our changes. So we are in support of this project. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Barron. We will also vote to approve pre-considered LU 7 relating to the 99-07 Astoria Boulevard proposal in Councilmember Moya's district in Queens. The proposal seeks a zoning map amendment to establish a C2-3 commercial overlay within an R3-2 zoning district to facilitate the the development of a one-story commercial building. Councilmember Moya is in support of this proposal, and I would like to allow Councilmember Moya to give some remarks about this project. Councilmember Moya.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate it. Look, I'll just be very brief. This is a very simple spot rezoning that we're doing here. I'm in support of it. We have folks from the community that I've spoken about their support for this one as well. So I'll be voting in the affirmative, and I hope my colleagues will join me in doing the same. Thank you, Chair. Thank you,
Councilmember Moya. We will also vote to approve the modification pre-consider LUs 8 and 9 relating to the 2892 Nostrand Avenue rezoning proposal in Chair Lewis District in Brooklyn. This proposal seeks a zoning map amendment to rezone an existing R3-2 district to an R6B/C2-4, R7A, and R7A/C2-4 district and a related zoning text amendment to establish an MIH program area. This action will facilitate the development of an 8-story mixed-use building. Our modification will be strike MIH option 2 and the deep affordability option. The Chair Lewis is in support of this proposal, and I would like to allow Chair Lewis to give some remarks about this project. Chair Lewis.
Thank you, Chair. I'm in full support of this project, 2892 Nostrand Avenue. I am still waiting for some more information on this project regarding the management company that will be managing the affordable housing process. The developer also said that they would support a local park in the area, P.F. Norton Playground. Still waiting for that information, but fully in support of this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Lewis. We will also vote to approve with modification pre-considered LUs 10 and 11 for the 2134 Call Street rezoning proposal in Councilmember Narcisse District in Brooklyn. The applicant seeks a zoning map amendment to change an R4/C2-2, R4/C1-2 zoning district to an R6A/C2-4 zoning district and a related zoning text amendment to map an MIH program area. These actions will facilitate the development of a new 5-story mixed-use building. Our modification will be strike MIH option 2 and add the deep affordability option. Councilmember Narcisse is in full support of this proposal as modified. And is Councilmember Narcisse here today?
I don't see her in the meeting right now, Chair.
Thank you. And we've been joined by Councilmember Sanchez and Councilmember Richardson Jordan. Finally, we will also vote to approve with modification pre-considered LU 12, the citywide open restaurant zoning text amendment. This text amendment would remove the zoning resolution sidewalk cafe regulations found in Article 1, Chapter 4 of the zoning resolution and modify related sections. This proposal will facilitate the creation of a permanent open restaurant program following authorization legislation by the City Council and subsequent rulemaking by a designated agency. Our modification will be to remove the Department of Transportation as the designated agency for subsequent rulemaking and implementation of the program. Members of the subcommittees who have questions or remarks about today's item should use the raise hand button now. Council will announce members in order that hands are raised. Council, are there any council members with questions or remarks at this time?
Council member Schulman has a question, has raised her hand.
No, is now the proper time to make remarks about the zoning text amendment or later?
No, you can make remarks now.
I just want to, my understanding of this text amendment is that it's a technical amendment, that there will be further discussion on the larger proposal about the open restaurants and the way that we're going to do that. So I just want to make that clear, because constituents are a little bit confused. They think that what we're voting on today is to vote on making permanent the open restaurant situation. And I just want to make it clear that this is a text amendment, that there will be larger discussions moving forward on this. And so I just wanted to make that clear. That's all.
Thank you, Councilmember Shulman.
Chair, I'll announce the order of the council members and the way they raise their hands. So next will be Councilmember Carr, to be followed by Councilmember Bottcher, Councilmember Lewis, and Councilmember Abreu. So Councilmember Carr.
Time starts now.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair Riley. I just want to make my remarks on the open restaurants text amendment. Like my colleague, Councilmember Shulman, I'll be voting yes because there's still an opportunity for the larger conversation on how we're going to deal with sidewalk cafes and in particular roadway cafes later on as we consider the local law and the Consumer and Worker Protection Committee. I'm buoyed by the fact that the sidewalk cafe process will retain council oversight in the form of a call-up, and that's really crucial to this conversation. And it just seems like the previous process was incredibly burdensome for sidewalk cafes pre-pandemic, and this is a good way to kind of make sure that the conversation is not about whether we should be changing zoning in a given neighborhood, but whether or not the restaurant or the bar has the sort of the physical parameters abutting it to support a sidewalk cafe. But I continue to have reservations about the roadway permitting process and how that's going to work, and the fact that DOT doesn't seem to want there to be a council call-up component moving forward. And so because the text amendment can't be effective unless a local law passes, and because the text amendment only applies to the sidewalk permitting process, I'll be comfortable voting yes with the modifications that are being included here today. I thank the chair and for the staff for the great work they did to make sure that we have our options open after we vote today. Thank you.
The next council member will be Councilmember Bottcher, to be followed by Councilmember Lewis.
Time starts now.
Hi, I've been on the phone with Council Land Use a lot over the last 24 hours, as well as folks from my community board. And we've had some of the concerning language adjusted. And as my colleagues have said, this is not the bill to codify open dining. That's going to be negotiated in the next few weeks with legislation by Consumer Affairs Chair Velazquez. And my goal is to work with my colleagues to find a solution that keeps what people like about outdoor dining while doing away with some of the elements that have been really problematic for our communities.
Thank you, Councilmember Bottcher. Next, Councilmember Lewis, to be followed by Councilmember Abreu.
Time starts now.
Thank you so much. Not to memorialize everything my colleagues have shared earlier, but my community boards and constituents were very confused with the text amendment. But I do want to share for the record that I will support the text amendment. But I wanted to also share that I do support businesses having opportunities, but I don't support the misuse of those opportunities. I urge my colleagues to all come together and create clear and distinct regulations and processes that are strictly enforced and have a timeline with clear benchmarks prior to implementation. I know that there's a bill out there that Councilmember Velazquez and Majority Leader Powers has. So I look forward to working with all of our colleagues to make sure that we get it right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Lewis. Councilmember Abreu.
Well, not to memorialize everything that's been said, but for the record, I'm going to vote yes on this. And the reason is because I understand that this text amendment is to lay the groundwork for an open restaurants program that can meet the needs of different communities across the city. It will not open the floodgates to an unrestricted program. The text amendment will only become effective after the council adopts legislation to create a permanent open restaurants program and a designated agency, which will promulgate the rules that will govern how the program will operate. And that gives me confidence. This will give the council the leeway to thoughtfully consider the implementation of an open restaurants program that can be tailored to meet the needs of distinct communities. Different communities have different needs. And I will not support an ultimate open restaurants program that fails to account for our district's diverse needs. and perspective. So I vote aye. I'm going to be voting aye on today's text amendment. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Abreu and Chair Riley. I don't see any other council members with their hands up.
Thank you, members. And just for the record, I really want to emphasize I'm willing to come out to your communities and work with your community boards and each member here, because we want to make sure that we're passing the right legislation. And thank you all for being so considerate and actually communicating with the staff throughout this entire process. So thank you so much. I now call for the vote to approve pre-consider LU 7 relating to 99-07 Astoria Boulevard, and to approve with modifications I have described pre-consider LUs 3 and 4 relating to the 749 Van Sideren proposal, pre-consider LUs 8 and 9 relating to the 2892 Nostrand Avenue proposal, pre-consider LUs 10 and 11 relating to the 2134 Call Street proposal, and pre-consider LU 12 relating to the open restaurant text amendment proposal. Council, please call the roll.
Chair Riley.
I don't know.
Councilmember Moya.
I vote aye on all.
Chair Lewis.
I vote aye.
Councilmember Abreu.
Aye on all.
Councilmember Botcher.
Aye on all.
Councilmember Hanks.
Aye on all.
Councilmember Schulman.
Aye on all.
And Councilmember Carr.
Aye on all.
By a vote of 8 in the affirmative, no negatives, no abstentions, the items are approved and referred to the full Land Use Committee for a vote.
That concludes today's business. I would like to thank the members of the public, my colleagues, subcommittee council, land use, and the other council staff, and the Sergeant at Arms for participating in today's meeting. This meeting